I can't deal with this chapter title. Hi everyone, this is chapter 6 of Calling on Dragons. It's for D.I.J. Castillo, in which the plot positively curdles. And the King of the Dragons loses her temper. Kazula's not going to be happy with this. As everyone turned to look, a 3-foot elf wearing gold lace and collar and a crisp white shirt under a green velvet coat with gold buttons, white silk hose, and green shoes with clunky gold heels stepped into view. Stepped into view in the doorway of the castle. Welcome, all of you, he added, bowing low. Hello, Willin, Morwen said. We need to see King Mendenbar and Queen Cimrine right away. In regard to what? The elf asked. Technical difficulties. That's one way of putting it. We have discovered a possible disruption in the obstructive enchantment fabricated by King Mendenbar and myself, and yes, of course, said Willin. I'll tell the king immediately. You needn't give me the details. Telemaine caught Morwen's eye and winked. Morwen suppressed a smile and said, "And while we're waiting, Killer's hungry." She nodded at the donkey. "If your kitchen could put something together that would suit him." "Certainly," Willin said. "Just trot around back, or Killer and the cook will take care of you." He waved toward the left where Kazul was sleeping. "I'm not that hungry." Killer said. "Go around the other way then," Morwen told him. "It doesn't really matter. Just go. I'll show him." Fiddlesticks bounded across to Killer. "The kitchen is this way. They have cream and butter and fish," and his voice faded as they rounded the crooked tower by the stone bridge. Scorn stood up and stretched. What a pair of idiots. She looked at Jasper. "Maybe we should go after them and make sure they don't get into trouble." "An excellent idea," Jasper agreed. With an air of determined casualness, the two cats strolled off, following the donkey. Willin looked after them with a worried frown. Did I offend them?" "No, not at all," Morwen assured him. When his expression did not clear, she added, "They're hoping the cook will give them some cream. Now, we'll just go have a word with Kazul while you let Cimrine know we're here. Oh, and would you put this bucket somewhere? I have enough to carry without it." "Very good, ma'am," Willin said stiffly. He accepted the bucket and vanished into the castle, closing the door carefully behind him. "Morwen, Mendenbar's the one we really need to see," Telemaine said softly. "King Kazul has good reason to be just as interested in the doings of wizards as the rest of us," Morwen said. "Besides, it wouldn't be polite to go in without at least saying hello." "I suppose not," Telemaine said, and the two walked across the courtyard to talk to the dragon. Up close, Kazul was an even more impressive dragon than she looked from a distance. Standing, she was at least 6 times Morwen's height, even without her wings, and every inch was muscle and armor scales. The sleepy, contented expression on her face vanished as Morwen and Telemaine drew nearer, and by the time they were close enough to talk, the dragon was wide awake and ready for them. "Hello, Morwen, Telemaine," Kazul said. "Wizards again." She flicked a claw in the direction of the staff Morwen held. "Hello, Kazul," Morwen said. "It's a wizard, at least." "I thought you'd shut them out of the forest," Kazul said to Telemaine. "What one magician can do, another can find a way around," Telemaine said with a shrug. "Unless the quantity of energy involved reaches a magnitude that renders..." Kazul cleared her throat pointedly. Telemaine stopped. "Unless what?" said the dragon. Unless you put so much power into a spell that nobody can examine it closely enough to figure out how to break it without getting fried by the backlash," Telemaine said carefully. "Oh, love it." "Ah, well, I suppose nothing's perfect. I'm actually pretty surprised that the wizards figured anything out." A bell chimed, and all three turned to look at the castle. The door swung open, and Willem marched out. "Their Majesties King Mendenbar and Queen Cimrine of the Enchanted Forest," he announced, and bowed low. "Hello, Morwen, Telemaine. We were just trying to get you on the magic mirror." The speaker was a tall young woman in a loose cream-colored shirt and a pair of baggy gray pants tucked into short leather boots. Her black braids were wound around and around her head like a crown, and her face was both lovely and intelligent. As she came down the steps and into the courtyard, a man emerged from the door behind her. He was equally tall and dark-haired, and he wore a plain gold circlet that he had pushed back off his forehead. It gave him a rakish look. "Yes, the gargoyle said something about wizards," the man said, coming forward. "Is it urgent?" "Important, certainly," Morwen said. "Urgent? Possibly. I don't think it's an emergency, not yet." "Hello, Cimrine, Mendenbar." There was a brief round of greeting, and then Mendenbar said, "I thought something was wrong in the forest. It's been niggling at me ever since we got home." Cimrine frowned. "You didn't say anything?" "I didn't want to worry you." Cimrine rolled her eyes. "Mendenbar, I haven't suddenly turned to glass just because I'm going to have a baby." That is a great line. "Yeah, well, but I believe that can wait," Morwen interrupted tactfully. "The wizard shouldn't." "Yes, now that we're all here, tell us where you came across that." Kazul waved at the wizard's staff in Morwen's right hand. Morwen nodded and launched into a summary of the events following Killer's appearance in her back garden. Cimrine, Mendenbar, and Kazul listened without interrupting, though their expressions grew more and more serious. When she finished, Mendenbar turned to Telemaine. "These dead spots, I thought the spell we worked out prevented them." "It should have," Telemaine said, nodding. "And since the spell has worked perfectly well for over a year, it seems unlikely that the breakdown is due to an inherent flaw." Nonetheless, I think the initial phase of our investigation should involve an examination and analysis of the primary linkages. Simmering blinked and looked at Mendenbar. He doesn't think there should be anything wrong with the spell, but he wants to check and make sure. Mendenbar translated. In that case, we'll need the sword, won't we? I'll go get it. He snapped his fingers and a small gold key materialized out of the air in front of him and dropped into his hand. That's amazing. An instant later, Mendenbar and the key vanished. A quiet huff of air rushed in to fill the space he had vacated. Now that is a transportation spell that has everything, Telemaine said with a touch of any power, elegance, and economy of style. I wish I could determine exactly how he does it. Why don't you just ask him? I wish he could get it to work properly outside the enchanted forest, said Cimmerian. It would make visiting Kazul much easier. A little walking in the mountains is good for you, Kazul said. Cimmerian looked at the dragon with fond exasperation. It may be a little walk to you, but it takes a good deal longer for us. As I recall, you usually fly most of the way. You shouldn't give advice you don't follow. When I was your age, I did follow it. When you were Cimmerian's age, you were a rambunctious dragonette barely out of the egg, Morwen said, none of which has anything to do with our present problems. Air puffed outward as Mendenbar reappeared. His face was setting grim lines and his hands were empty. Oh, boy. It's gone, he said. The lock in the chest has been melted to a puddle. The lid is up, and the sword is gone. There are tangles of wizard magic all over the armory. It'll take me a week to straighten them out. Shit. There was a moment of stunned silence. Well, now the plot's curdling. Then Kazul made a low growling sound, and a small flame flickered around her jaws. Can she finally eat one of them? Cimmerian's eyes went wide, and she stepped quickly in front of Mendenbar, muttering something under her breath as she moved. Probably the fireproofing spell she discovered when she was Kazul's princess, Morwen thought. I hope it still works. Dropping the wizard's staff, Morwen grabbed Telemane's arm and hauled him forward. Morwen, what are you... Kazul sat back on her haunches, snapped open her wings, and roared, sending bright streams of fire shooting across the courtyard. The flames missed Telemane's head by inches, and the near edge engulfed Cimmerian and Mendenbar. Oh, that's right, she has the fireproofing spell. Kazul, stop immediately, Cimmerian cried from the center of the fire. She didn't sound as if she were in pain, so the fireproofing spell must be working. Yes, you don't want to finish those wizards' work for them, Morwen said as loudly as she could, and I'm sure they'd be delighted if you roasted the king and queen of the enchanted forest for them. The roaring and the flames did not stop, but Kazul tilted her head so that the stream of fire shot harmlessly up into the air. As the flames lifted away from Cimmerian and Mendenbar, Morwen breathed a sigh of relief. Cimmerian's creamy shirt was now closer in color to toast, and the ends of Mendenbar's hair had crinkled visibly from the heat, but they both seemed unhurt. They ran forward to join Morwen and Telemaine next to Kazul's right shoulder. Windows were flying open and closed all over the castle as people looked out to find out what all the noise was, and then quickly ducked back inside. Who else lives in the castle, by the way? I've never seen her like this before, not even when the wizards kidnapped her, Cimmerian shouted over the roaring. I hope I never see her like this again, Mendenbar shouted back. I'd have been roasted if it hadn't been for that fireproofing spell of yours. It's a good thing you're so tall. Fireproofing spell? Telemaine lowered his hands from mirrors and leaned forward. What fireproofing spell? Why hasn't anyone mentioned this before? Later, Telemaine, Morwen yelled. Finally, Kazul paused for breath. In the sudden silence, Cimmerian yelled, Kazul, for goodness sake, calm down. I will not calm down, Kazul said. But at least now she was shouting, and not breathing fire indiscriminately. This time, the Society of Wizards have gone too far, and I'm not settling for throwing them out of the enchanted forest or limiting their power. This time, I'm going to see the end of them. I swear I am, even if it takes 2 centuries. By my fire, I swear it. Yes. Eat them now. Ah, Kazul. Mendenbar tapped one of the dragon's shoulder scales. It's my sword they've stolen. Yes, Cimmerian said, and the first thing we have to do is get it back. The enchanted forest needs it. Very well, said Kazul. You may help me exterminate the Society of Wizards. Slowly she settled back to the ground, scales rattling faintly as she let her wings close. First things first, Morwen said. Cimmerian's right, we have to get the sword back and quickly. Otherwise the Society of Wizards can walk into the enchanted forest and soak up pieces of it until there's nothing left. That's probably why they took it, Cimmerian said. No, Telemaine put in. The sword is only one of the primary foci. Its physical removal does not invalidate... He paused, glanced at Kazul, and cleared his throat. That is, the king's sword just helps maintain the spell. Taking the sword out of the forest doesn't destroy the whole spell. It just weakens it. That's why the dead spots Morwen showed me didn't fill in right away. But the spell is still strong enough to keep the wizards from gobbling up large chunks of the forest. Does that mean if we ever recover the sword, the forest will be fully protected again? Mendenbar asked. Telemaine nodded. Good. Give me a minute or two to explain to Willen, and I'll be ready to go. Go? Telemaine blinked, but with a huff of air, Mendenbar vanished. But what? Said Cimmerian. Endabar shouldn't go anywhere right now, Morwen said. It's bad enough that the sword's missing, but no one will know about that for a while unless we tell them. But if the king of the enchanted forest goes tearing off on a quest while mysterious things are happening in the forest, people are bound to notice. There's more to it than that, Telemaine said. Mendenbar can't go after the sword, not if he wants to keep what's left of the anti-wizard spell working. He's the other main focus. Oh, that makes sense. Oh dear, Simrine looked back toward the castle and her lips twitched. He's not going to like that at all. I'm certain that Morwen, Telemaine, and I will be able to handle it, Kazul said. Simrine frowned. Don't you start fussing at me, Kazul. I'm perfectly capable of... I'm sure you are, Morwen said. But the Queen of the Enchanted Forest shouldn't go tearing off any more than the king should. You have responsibilities. Bother my responsibilities. If I thought you meant that, I'd be worried. Retrieving the sword is much more important than anything else I have to do right now. Thank goodness it won't be hard to find. What? Morwen frowned, puzzled. Why do you say that? Well, the wizards have taken it out of the forest, haven't they? Otherwise, Telemaine's anti-wizard spell would still be working. Simrine smiled briefly at Telemaine. The last time that sword was outside the forest, that's right. It started leaking magic the minute it crossed the border. Leaking magic? Simrine shrugged. I don't know what else to call it. And it gets worse and worse the longer the sword is outside the forest. By the end of the week, anyone with any magical ability at all will be able to find that sword with his eyes closed. I don't think we can afford to wait that long, Telemaine said slowly. What? Why not? Simrine looked at the magician in alarm. You don't think the Society of Wizards will try to destroy it, do you? It's not that. Telemaine began to pace up and down beside Kazul. It's the magic leakage. I'd forgotten about it, and of course it doesn't matter as long as the sword was inside the forest, but now the wizards have it, Morwen said, and wizard staffs absorb magic. If they absorb all the magic, the sword leaks, and the leak stops growing, or the leak keeps growing, it won't be long before they're more than we can handle. That too, Telemaine said, nodding. But the real problem is the source of the magic the sword leaks. The source... Oh dear. Morwen looked at Telemaine. You mean the enchanted forest itself? Slowly, Telemaine nodded. I'm afraid so. Mendenbar and I linked the sword directly to the heart of the forest's magic. The defensive enchantment will inhibit the leakage for a while, but after a few days, pressure will build up and the sword will start leaking, and all the magic in the enchanted forest will drain out of the sword, Morwen finished. But that'll kill the forest, Simrine said. We have to get that sword back right away. Not quite, Kazul said. A thread of smoke continued to trickle angrily out of the corner of her mouth, but otherwise she seemed to be in complete control of herself again. From what Telemaine said, it will take another day or two for the sword to start leaking, right? Telemaine nodded. As near as I can tell. Then we don't have to learn to fly by jumping off a cliff. That's a great sentence. There are still a few things I want to know before we go chasing off. Such as, Morwen asked, how the Society of Wizards got inside the castle to see the sword without anyone noticing, whether they're likely to be back soon, and what we can do about it if they are. Morwen, Telemaine, and Simrine looked at each other. Then Telemaine looked at Kazul. Commendably methodical. And now that you mention it, I'd better teach all of you the wizard liquefying spell before we leave. Yes, that's a good idea. You mean you've come up with a better way of melting wizards than soapy water with lemon juice in it? Simrine's smile was only a little forced. Wonderful. I don't know that it's better, Telemaine said. However, it appears to have the same effect, requires far less preparation, and is considerably more portable. He melted Antaral with it, Morwen said. Kazul shook herself and stood up. Enjoy the lesson. I'm going to ask your cook to pack us something for dinner. Don't you want to know how to melt wizards? Simrine said. No. Kazul smiled fiercely, showing all her sharp silver teeth. If I run into any wizards, I'm going to eat them. Yes. Then why are you bothering about dinner? Telemaine asked, frowning. Kazul's smile broadened. That's for the rest of you, she said, and glided off. I love it. It's so great. Oh, it's so great.